Dark is not synonymous with evil, and that confusion is precisely what allows many people to comfort themselves into remaining weak. Evil is a moral category. It requires judgment from the crowd. Dark does not. Dark is a psychological state in which a person does not need to be loved in order to act, does not need to be understood in order to decide, and does not need forgiveness in order to move forward. Dark is when emotion is no longer the control center, but merely a secondary signal. Society teaches people to seek acceptance before seeking influence. It teaches them to speak in ways that cause no discomfort, to act in ways that avoid judgment, and to adjust themselves to fit shared expectations. That process produces individuals who are highly predictable, and what is predictable is always easy to steer. Dark personality emerges when a person no longer uses other people's reactions as the metric for their own decisions. Dark people are not cold because they want to appear dangerous. They are cold because they understand that emotion is easier to exploit than reason. A person who needs to be loved can be threatened with the withdrawal of approval. A person who needs praise can be manipulated through expectations. A person who needs to be understood will explain too much. Dark personality severs these needs, and it is precisely this severance that makes such a person difficult to control. Dark does not mean the absence of emotion. Dark means refusing to let emotion govern one's position. A dark individual still feels fear, still hesitates, still recognizes risk, but they do not allow those states to surface as easily readable behavior. They do not react immediately. They do not explain immediately. They do not need to prove that they are good. In a world where most people act in order to be seen, not needing to be seen becomes a significant advantage. This is why dark personalities are so often misunderstood. They are labeled cold, calculating, insincere, even dangerous. But the discomfort they provoke does not come from wrongdoing. It comes from unreadability. What people fear most is not a clearly evil figure, but someone who offers no emotional cues by which the next move can be predicted. Dark is not a path for the majority because it requires the ability to endure being unloved. When you no longer need to be loved, you are no longer easily compelled to please. And when you stop trying to please, you begin to see the mechanics of power far more clearly than those who are still busy maintaining their image. The mechanics of real-world power. Real-world power does not operate the way books describe it, and that is why so many people who do everything right still remain below. Books teach procedures, principles, rational order. But power does not live in those stable structures. It lives in the moment of decision, where some people are allowed to say, "We don't need to follow the procedure this time," and others are never permitted to utter that sentence. At work, power does not belong to the person who understands the system best, but to the person who decides when the system applies. The one who memorizes the rules always asks for permission. The one with power announces that the decision has already been made. A person who follows procedures perfectly becomes easy to replace because they only function when instructions exist. A person who knows when procedures can be bypassed becomes hard to touch because they are directly tied to outcomes. Systems are not controlled by those who obey them, but by those who know how to bend them without breaking them. In money, the mechanism of power is even more exposed. Books teach risk management, profit analysis, cash flow balance. Power operates elsewhere in who transfers risk onto others and who bears the consequences when things collapse. The person without power asks, "Is this legal?" The person with power asks, "If this goes wrong, who takes the hit?" The questions sound similar, but they exist on entirely different levels. The distance between them is the distance of power. In relationships, power does not belong to the most sincere person, but to the one who needs less. The more you need, the more you explain. The more you explain, the weaker your position becomes. Power lies in the ability to withdraw presence without asking permission, in not needing to prove you are right, and in forcing others to adjust their behavior to keep you around. This is not written in books because it is not pretty, not comfortable, and it shatters the illusion that relationships are governed purely by goodwill. There are people who never read books and still win, not because they despise knowledge, but because they learn directly from friction. They observe who is protected when mistakes happen, who is pushed aside when outcomes turn bad, and who consistently receives more authority after every crisis. Meanwhile, there are people who read endlessly and still remain below because they believe understanding the rules is enough. They fail to see that rules are only the surface. Power lies in the right to decide whether the rules apply at all. Real-world power does not reward those who understand the game. It rewards those who can shape the game in the moment when others are still searching for the rules. That moment is never recorded, never taught, never legitimized. It exists only for those close enough to the center to know that some decisions do not require explanation, because the absence of explanation is itself the clearest signal of power. Why good people lose. Those who believe that reading is enough are not stupid, and that is precisely why they lose so consistently. They are intelligent, disciplined, analytically capable, and they understand exactly what should be done in an ideal system. The problem is that power does not operate inside that ideal system. It operates in reality where the person who decides does not need to prove they are right, only to make the outcome happen. Good people tend to wait for valid signals. They wait for invitations. They wait for confirmation. They wait their turn. They believe that respecting order is how recognition is earned. But power is not distributed by order. It accumulates in those who step forward before permission is given, then force the system to adjust to actions already taken. Good people see risk first. People with power see the opportunity hidden inside that risk. Good people believe fairness will balance itself if everyone does the right thing, so they invest heavily in being correct, not crossing lines, not causing discomfort, not creating conflict. But that very cleanliness makes them replaceable. When nothing sticks to them, nothing binds the system to keeping them. Power is not attached to correctness. It is attached to how dependent the system becomes on your presence. They also tend to ask for permission too often. Asking for permission is an admission that decision-making authority does not belong to you. Someone accustomed to asking finds it unbearable to simply take, not because they fear being wrong, but because they fear losing the image of being good that they have built. Yet that image only has value in the eyes of others who also lack power. To those above, it creates no obligation. Good people usually need validation. Their knowledge exists in their minds, not in their influence. They know they are right, but still need others to agree. And the moment you need agreement, you have already placed yourself lower. Power does not need validation. It creates standards and then forces others to adjust to keep up. So good people do not lose because they are wrong. They lose because they are playing a different game, a game where the reward is moral reassurance, not decision-making authority. While they continue to do the right thing, continue to wait, continue to believe they are not yet enough. The positions are quietly filled by those who do not need to be called good, only cold enough to take power when it appears.